everyone, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. This is Times Now Live and I'm Hina Gambhir. And viewers, this morning our big focus is on the Supreme Court of India, where the Bihar S.I.R verdict is going to be pronounced. In fact, the latest update we are getting is that the Supreme Court has begun pronouncement of this particular order. This is a very, very important update that we are getting for you. Let me straight away go across to my colleague Bhavtosh, who's joining us live right now for more on this. Bhavtosh, what have we heard from the Apex Court so far?
Well, Hina, our legal editor Harish is inside the courtroom and he's giving us a minute-by-minute update. The Chief Justice of India, Suryakant, is pronouncing the order. These are oral observation. The detailed court order will come in a bit. What Chief Justice of India has said is something very important. He said, after reckoning the rival contentions from both sides, that is Election Commission of India and various petitions that have been filed against S.I.R, and having traversed the sequence of events as they emerged, the submissions advanced on behalf of the parties as well as the material on record, we are of the considered view that following issues required analysis. First, whether the Election Commission of India has the powers to conduct the exercise such as S.I.R. Second, whether the inquiry under the S.I.R. S.I.R. is measured and adopted by the Election Commission are proportionate to the ends sought to be achieved. Third, whether the procedure adopted by the Election Commission in conducting
we have some really big news as far as this particular order is concerned. Supreme Court upholds the power of the Election Commission of India to conduct special intensive revision S.I.R. of electoral roll. So this is the big update that we've got from the Supreme Court right now as far as the S.I.R. judgment is concerned. Bhavtosh, now this is significant. Supreme Court upholding the power of Election Commission of India to conduct the S.I.R. exercise, in a way agreeing with the entire exercise that was conducted by Election Commission ahead of the elections in Bihar.
Yes, in fact, that's what the Supreme Court has said, that within Article 326 of India's Constitution and also Representation of People's Act 1950, Election Commission of India can carry out S.I.R. The entire process is legal. Remember, even when the election was being held in Bihar as well as in Tamil Nadu and West Bengal, they have said that election process, the S.I.R. process, can be carried out. The Chief Justice of India has further said it is consistent with the constitutional mandate. These are the observation or the remarks that are being made by the Chief Justice of India. Two important points that the Chief Justice of India has said, that it is as per constitutional mandate for free and fair elections. That is very important. Hina, he has said, the Chief Justice of India has said that as per constitutional mandate for free and fair elections, S.I.R. is required. It is consistent with the constitutional mandate. This is the basic argument that was given by the Election Commission of India, that you need the S.I.R. process if you want free and fair election. The Chief Election Commission of India had also said that there are many foreign nationals or illegal immigrants that have entered into the border areas. The Supreme Court has also said it cannot be said that Election Commission of India acted outside the statutory powers by exercising S.I.R. It cannot be said ultra virus because the exercise is different from what is ordinarily conducted. Basically, the Supreme Court has upheld the constitutional powers of Election Commission of India, has said that within Article 326 and also People's Representation Act 1950, Election Commission of India is allowed to carry out the S.I.R. process, and they are legally bound. Legally constitutional exercise has been carried out. Since last June, various opposition leaders had approached the Supreme Court, and this is now legally allowed.
Stay on with us, Bhavtosh. We're also joined on the broadcast by Shashank Shekhar Jha, who is Advocate Supreme Court. So two important takeaways, viewers, that we've got right now from the Apex Court. One, Supreme Court has upheld the power of the Election Commission of India to conduct special intensive revision of electoral rolls, and Supreme Court also saying that it is as per constitutional mandate for free and fair elections in the country. Shashank Shekhar Jha, how do you see what we've heard from the Supreme Court just now?
The clarity by the Supreme Court in this judgment is very good for the country. We need to understand that Election Commission is not a part of government, but it is a statutory body as provided by the Constitution of India, just like any other pillar of this Constitution. Now, Election Commission has not done SI for the first time. It has been doing it since the inception of the election in this country. Also, you need to understand that Election Commission time and again do such thing to validate the voters who are actually, correct voters and, negate all those negative things. Now, the opposition of this country has this habit of, putting blame on every other thing other than themselves. Earlier, they used to put blames on EVM. Now, when Supreme Court has time and again in multiple petitions dismissed their allegations against EVM, now they have come up with S.I.R. Now, this S.I.R. has happened in multiple states, and in each states, different political parties actually came into power. So
Right.
that doesn't mean that you challenge the S.I.R. as such. And it is very good that now Supreme Court, which is the top court of this country, has clarified that S.I.R. is a good measure.
Right.
My only point here is, and my only takeaway here is that S.I.R. is a process which guarantees that 145 crore Indian citizens are being represented by those individuals who
Right.
are being chosen by the Indian nationals.
Okay. Shashank Shekhar Jha, request you to please stay on with us. Bhavtosh continues to be with us as well. Let me quickly get in a word from Tom Vadakan of the BJP, also joining us on the broadcast this morning. Good morning, Mr. Tom Vadakan. Appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now. Your first reaction to what we've heard from the Supreme Court, which in a way has backed the S.I.R. exercise, the way it was conducted by the Election Commission. SC has also said it is as per constitutional mandate for free and fair elections.
I think it's a very good decision that the Supreme Court has taken, because S.I.R. ensures that the population that votes are Indians and not outsiders. I think that is very important. And S.I.R. has been, now that the Supreme Court has ruled on the matter can rest. S.I.R. has been a very useful tool in ensuring the population, that is Indian citizens, vote for India.
Do you think the opposition will finally put the matter to rest now?
Well, the opposition can do whatever they want. They had EVMs earlier, they had other problems earlier. But now that this matter has been ruled by the Supreme Court, so the matter can rest. So the opposition also can look for other avenues. They can take up issues which are relevant to the people of India, rather than taking up issues where they are losing.
Right. Mr. Tom Vadakan, appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective. We're also joined on the broadcast by Manav Jaiswal of the Trinamool Congress. Good morning. Thank you for speaking with us here on Times Now. Your first reaction to what we've heard from the Supreme Court on S.I.R.?
Namaskar to the nation. But the Supreme Court has just stated that the S.I.R. is a prerogative of the Election Commission. We have never challenged the S.I.R. We have always challenged the process. Supreme Court should come up clean that what was the point of deleting 27 lakh people which had gone to the tribunal? What was the problem to have a logical discrepancies? Why on earth logical discrepancy, which was never there in the constitution of the Election Commission, was played as a backbook in Bengal's election? And we want to know what has made the Election Commission adding 7.5 lakh voters, however they added, what is the transparency? The Supreme Court should come up clean on that. Supreme Court should give a directive to the Election Commission. It was through the Supreme Court that the tribunal was.
But Mr. Manav Jaiswal, I'm just interrupting here, because if there was a problem with the process or the entire framework that the EC was working on to conduct the S.I.R. exercise, I mean, the Supreme Court should have given a direction. But if that hasn't happened, it clearly shows that the Honorable Supreme Court is satisfied with how the S.I.R. exercise was conducted. Will the opposition now close this chapter and accept the S.I.R. exercise the way it was conducted, that it was important for free and fair elections, as the Supreme Court has said?
Do you really think that 27 lakh people whose name has been deleted fraudulently?
No, it's not my personal thought, Mr. Manav Jaiswal. I'm only quoting what the Supreme Court had said. You may have a political issue. One second, Mr. Manav Jaiswal, hear my question. Hear my question first. One second, Mr. Manav Jaiswal. One, it's not my personal opinion. Second, I'm only quoting what the Supreme Court has said. So I want to understand from you that if at all there were problems in the process, the Supreme Court, must have highlighted those, right? But that did not happen. Supreme Court did not put a stop on the S.I.R. exercise also when it was being conducted while the matter was in the apex court.
See, this was the first time in Bengal that the tribunal was embodied. So that was not a challenge. The only answer and the only question the 27 lakh people have been asking, what was their mistake that they could not cast their vote? And what are the mistakes? And who are those 7.5 lakh people who were added from the back doors?
All
Why isn't
right,
the
so
Election
you're
Commission?
still talking about the deletions, you're questioning the process. Mr. Manav Jaiswal, appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective. We also have with us Rashid Alvi of the Congress Party. Good morning, Mr. Rashid Alvi. Appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now. Your first thoughts on what the Supreme Court has said on S.I.R. and the way EC conducted it.
Yeah, good afternoon. Definitely, Supreme Court is very right when Supreme Court says that it is the responsibility of Election Commission. But important question is whether Election Commission is honest. Any national of the country, any citizen of the country should be the voter of this country. But when Election Commission itself a corrupt organization, how can we trust Election Commission?
With due respect,
Supreme
Mr.
Court-
Rashid Alvi, why did the Supreme Court not make these observations about the Election Commission? I mean, opposition raised this issue with the Supreme Court. Why has Supreme Court not called Election Commission what you're calling it?
Supreme Court should have observed it. If Supreme Court has not done it, that I am sorry to say that is the reason that people have started to raise questions against judiciary also. It has never happened earlier. And you know, one of the very, very senior advocate, he has got retirement. And he has given a statement to BBC that judiciary will not go against the government. That is the reason I am getting retirement.
Fantastic. So
important thing.
since the judgment doesn't suit your narrative, it's very convenient to start blaming the judiciary. We leave it there, Mr. Rashid Alvi. We appreciate you speaking with us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective. We have with us my colleague Pranesh joining us live from the newsroom. Also joining us is S.I.R, senior journalist. Bhavtosh continues to be with us as well. Pranesh, you heard the reactions of the opposition.
I'm not surprised with what Mr. Rashid Alvi was saying. In fact, I can tell you the exact comments that we are going to hear from the Congress party, the Trinamool Congress, the left parties, the Aam Aadmi party. All of this is so predictable. If the opposition does not have faith in the Supreme Court, for the likes of Mr. Alvi, who's a senior Congress leader, you know, veteran in many ways, for him to come out on national television and say that we don't have faith in the Election Commission, when you asked him, what do you have to say about the Supreme Court? For someone like him to say that, look, the Supreme Court should have said what I think. Look, Hina, the court does not operate on whims and fancies. The court looked at this case carefully. We have the judgment today. The court is satisfied with the objectives that the exercise sought to achieve. And the matter ends there. So all those people who've been crying from rooftops about vote chori and whatnot must now approach United Nations, because they've now run out of all available fora in the country. You can't go higher than the Supreme Court. All you can do is hold a press conference and say that, look, we don't have faith in the institutions because they are hijacked by the BJP, NDA government, agencies are being misused, etc., etc. This is, you know, a tried and tested trope, but people are not, can see through this. Now, just one quick point before you bring in the others. Look, after every election that does not go in favor of the opposition, the narrative is that the Election Commission is compromised. Why didn't we hear this after the result in Tamil Nadu, where the Congress is now sharing power with Vijay's TVK? Why didn't the Congress party hit protests or file petitions when it won Kerala? So the people can see through this, Hina. It's as clear as daylight. The Supreme Court says no merit in the objections that were filed. The S.I.R, Special Intensive Revision Exercise, was as legit and constitutional as it can get.
Absolutely. Pranesh, stay on with us. Mr. S.I.R, now TMC's Manav Jaiswal, I was speaking with him a short while ago and he raised the questions on the process. His first reaction to SC verdict today was that we didn't have a problem with the S.I.R exercise, but the process in which it was conducted, we had a problem with that. So I want to quickly read out what the Chief Justice of India is saying right now on the process. CJI has said it must also be borne in mind that the statutory framework, in fact, does not mandate a rigid or singular procedural format for all situations of deletion. What it insists upon is fairness in action. The S.I.R guidelines incorporating notice, publication, individualized inquiry in cases of doubt, speaking orders and a right of appeal satisfy this requirement. How will you like to address now still the concerns that are being raised by the opposition after listening to what CJI has said?
No, the opposition concerns at the moment after the judgment do not appear to be genuine. See, initially they were questioning the very powers of the Election Commission. That has now been completely settled, that Election Commission is fully empowered under the Constitution to undertake this exercise, which is constant updation of the electoral rolls, keeping in view the basic conditions that a voter has to be of 18 years of age, a normal resident of that constituency, and number 3, he has to be a citizen of India. I mean, this is very clear now. And the other part is about the process, whether the Election Commission did due diligence and rolled out a process which was fair. Now, on that count also, the apex court has completely upheld the whole timeline, because the petitioners had even questioned the timeline, that very little time was given, this should have been started more than 2 years ago and things like that. But Election Commission, the Supreme Court is fully satisfied that sufficient time was indeed given. And in West Bengal case also, where the several difficulties arose over deletion, Supreme Court directed the setting up of even tribunals. And another thing, politically speaking, Hina, even if all those votes that were deleted were added to were part of the roll, Trinamool Congress could not have won. See, one has to get very clear after this. All political parties must realize you don't win elections on the basis of electoral rolls or on the basis of manipulation of EVM or on the basis of counting process. This is what West Bengal election has shown. In fact, elections everywhere show that. See, you win when you have the mandate of the people. But opposition parties have always been looking for a bahana. First they question the EVM, then they question the whole conduct of the Election Commission, then the electoral rolls. I mean, this is a kind of the black hole where opposition is dragging itself in.
Okay.
So unless I win an election, I will not believe in the process. You know, that is not a fair comment on the way our democracy has been functioning.
And just like Pranesh, you said, there was no problem with the results in Tamil Nadu. There was no problem at all with the results in Kerala.
Look, and the larger point, Hina, is that, what Shekhar Iyer is saying, that even if you were to add all the, the deleted votes, the votes that they haven't got, even then it would not be probable for the TMC to win. But, I have a slightly larger point that even if it is anyone's case that the exercise was unfair, what do you do? In any case, of any matter, any kind, what do you do when you have doubts in your mind? In a democracy like ours, there are institutions, and you approach them. Now, there are several institutional safeguards even in this process. And if you read the last flash, which is in our group, which our legal team has sent us from the court, the Supreme Court has made it absolutely clear that there were, opportunities given. The system was foolproof, so to say. Foolproof is not the word used by the Supreme Court, but I am trying to underline what the Supreme Court has, said in the order. So the Election Commission did what it can. Now, any exercise can have problems here and there, because look at the country that we have, as large as ours, and the number of people involved. Right. So it is nobody's case that there were no discrepancies. But to say that this amounts to vote chori, etc., is utter rubbish. And now that the Supreme Court has spoken once again, the debate should end.
Well, we can really hope so, but doesn't seem like, given the kind of reactions we've already started getting, especially from leaders of TMC as well as the Congress party. Pranesh, stay on with us. Let me quickly go across to Bhavtosh as well, who's been bringing us all the updates from the Supreme Court. Bhavtosh, now, what is the update that you can share with us? Because a number of issues are being considered by the Supreme Court today, isn't it? Now, of course, the focus is going to be on whether electoral S.I.R. is founded on a legitimate purpose and whether the measures adopted by EC satisfy the requirement of proportionality.
Yes, those are the issues that have been addressed by the Supreme Court, by the bench of Chief Justice of India. Importantly, what the Chief Justice of India, Suryakant, has said is that we are unable to conclude that the impingent exercise, that is S.I.R. exercise, is a process restored to slowly for administrative convenience. On the contrary, we hold that the electoral S.I.R. advances the constitutional imperative of a free and fair elections. Now, what has happened is that the Chief Justice of India has said that for free and fair election in the country, S.I.R. exercise is required, because the opposition over a period of time for past 1 year has said that the S.I.R exercise is equivalent to NRC, that it is taking away the rights of several lakhs of individuals. That was the point that was raised by the petitions that were filed in the Supreme Court. It has now what the Supreme Court has said, that for a free and fair election in the country, S.I.R exercise is required. The issue of Aadhaar card has also been addressed. It has said that Aadhaar card is a proof of identity. It is not the proof of citizenship of the country. Whether this matter will be addressed further, that has left open by the Supreme Court. We have to wait for the final order, because that was one of the contentious issues that have been taken up by the various petitions that have been filed. Importantly, the Election Commission of India's issue that they are mandated to carry out the S.I.R process, and they have been doing so over the past few decades, has also been addressed, that within Article 326 of India's Constitution and also Representation of People's Act, they are allowed to carry out the S.I.R exercise. Those issues have also been addressed by the Supreme Court of India.
I believe Pradesh has a question as well.
Yeah, Hina,
Pradesh.
with your permission, I just want to, ask Mr. Jha a question. Shashank ji, we've seen conjectures by opposition parties. Now that the final word has come from the Supreme Court, what are you expecting?
Pranay, first of all, I completely subscribe to your views on this S.I.R issue. My opinion is very, unfortunate that opposition parties, especially Congress, which has ruled this country for so long, TMC, which has ruled Bengal for 15 long years, and previous to that, they were into central government as well. They are raising questions against now Supreme Court of India, now or for that one judiciary. Supreme Court in this case has clearly stated one thing, that S.I.R or the powers of Election Commission is not contrary to what the powers given to them in People's Representation Act as well as the Constitution of India. Now, the Election Commission is not another wing of this government, but it is a statutory constitutional body which functions on its own, which is independent. And we have seen in past 70 years that Election Commission has taken a number of initiatives to ensure that people actually go and vote easily. Now, the same opposition earlier used to target EVMs. Time and again they used to approach High Courts and Supreme Court. When Supreme Court has categorically stated that no more EVM petition will be entertained, now they have started challenging
You're
S.I.R.
absolutely right. Hina, and I just want to say in the end that what can be a greater endorsement of the fairness of the Election Commission than what has happened in Kerala. Kerala is not ruled by, the mandate in Kerala was for the UDF, Congress-led UDF. And look what the Congress has done. The state CEO is now the secretary to the chief minister. Now, if the election process was rigged, compromised, etc., etc., Rahul Gandhi's Congress party would not be doing what Suvendu Adhikari has done in West Bengal.
Absolutely. And also, as many have also been saying, that if indeed lakhs of people in this country were denied their right to vote, then they should have actually come out on the streets. But we didn't really see that happen because, probably those who had migrated to other cities, those who were no longer alive but still had their names registered, were probably being misused by other people, by political parties. Only those names were deleted. So that's another argument that has come in. But we'll, of course, be tracking this story closely ahead as well. Requesting all of you to please stay on with us. Heading into a very, very short break. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned.